The 2 million stitch maintenance is something that you'll want to be doing about every week. So the stitch timer is based on a shop that is running 400,000 stitches a day. If you are running that much, then it will come up just about weekly, so that's great. If you're not running that frequently, then you may need to do the maintenance a little more than the timer would suggest. To access these timers, you want to go into your software, and you want to go to Tools, Settings, and Timers, and we're going to be looking again at that 2 million stitch maintenance. I'm going to click Step to begin stepping through the procedure, and it's going to say, please follow all the maintenance procedures very carefully and apply the proper amounts of lubrication during each step. Melco is not going to be held responsible if you don't do that. Melco cannot be held responsible for over-oiling, which can damage electronics. So during one of these steps, we will be oiling the needle bars in the upper section up here. We'll do it down here too, but in the upper section in here, between these needles, there is a printed circuit board. And I want to make sure that you don't get oil on that. So we'll put the oiler past that and before we start putting oil on those needle bars. Okay. Warning, if you currently have a hoop or clamping system on the machine, please remove it. I would remove that pretty much anytime I'm doing maintenance. This time I would also remove the cap driver as well. I would consider that a clamping system, so please take that wide angle driver off there as well. We will be accessing things on the lower arm, and having that driver on there and the way that this moves could very much hinder how you're doing things, and it could potentially damage the machine. So take all of that off there before starting this. So I'm going to hit next. And when I do, the machine's going to shift over. So it's going to bring the needle case all the way over, and it's going to move the needle. You're not going to see the needle move as much, but you will see the take-up lever move. It's going to move that Z to a very specific area. So if we look at the image, it's kind of a really zoomed in view, and it says to use the small oiler and put 25 drops of sewing machine oil in the oiling as shown. So I'm going to come back out and I'm going to show you where we're looking. So it just moved all the way over here. That's going to move it out of the way, and we're actually looking right in here. So that zoomed in view is kind of a camera right like this. I'm going to get a camera moved in so that we can get a zoomed in view of the same thing. And I'll show you how to do that. Now, it will say you may have to add a few drops and wait before adding more. So as we add oil in here, it will flow down this channel. And this is actually lined up so that it will hit some circular felts and have that oil be absorbed. So that's why we have to wait. And then as we let that happen, it also says to wait 10 minutes before pressing next. I'm not going to make you wait that long in this video. I will go ahead and cut, but I would ask that you guys go ahead and wait that before hitting next. So I'm going to see if I can't get you a more zoomed in view, but let's look at the software to make sure that we know what we're looking at. Okay, so we're zoomed in here pretty tightly. And what I will do is add a drop or two of oil. So I'm going to take my oiler. You can see that drop of oil form. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now that we've waited that 10 minutes, that oil is flowed down and has been absorbed, we're going to go ahead and move on. So I'm going to click Next in the software. And as I do, it's going to give us another view of what we're going to be doing. The machine's not going to move. It has already moved over. It is out of the way. But what we're going to be doing is looking right here, and we're going to be cleaning and oiling this upper V-rail. So this V-rail has kind of two upward facing surfaces. We're going to clean both sides of that surface, and then we're going to oil both sides. very close to the needle case. So we're kind of zoomed in, looking right here again, a little zoomed out from where we were before. We're going to clean this with a lint-free cloth, and then we're going to oil it. Again, we're going to take that cloth, we're going to clean that front surface. This is the easier surface to clean. And then I'm going to fold my cloth and I'm going to go across that back side. So now I want to apply a drop of sewing machine oil to each of those surfaces, one on the front, one on the back, as close to the needle case as possible. So there's one, there's the other. Now I'm going to hit next, and when I do, this needle case is going to shift over. It's going to spread this oil, and then we're going to do the same thing that we did here, just on the other side. So I'm going to hit next. The needle's going to come back up. It's going to move all the way over. And now we're looking to do the same thing, just right over here this time. So if I look at the software, using the cloth, go ahead and clean it, and then we're going to apply that oil. So we're going to clean. I'm going to fold that. So I got the front side, I'm going to fold, push towards the back. There we go. So one drop there and one drop there. So now I'm going to hit next. As I do, that needle case is going to shift back over to the original needle. And now it's going to ask us to oil the needle bar. So we're going to get some really zoomed in views. We're going to be looking right in here for the first section and then right in here for that second section. So let's look at the software, make sure that we know where we're looking. We're going to be going through those holes to hit those needle bars. We've got a zoomed in view here, and this is one of the places where having a flashlight may be handy for you. So we're looking into the needle case, we're looking through that plastic cover, we're looking into those holes, and we are finding those needle bars. And we've got it kind of lined up right now with the camera and a couple lights so that you get that shine really strong on a few of those needle bars. As you move through, kind of move your head back and forth so you can find them. So I will come in, touch that needle bar, form a drop of oil, and have it flow down. There you just saw that drop of oil go. We'll do it again. There we go. You can see that drop. Do it on number 3. Touch that metal is what I do. Back off, form a drop of oil, and then touch and let it, there you go, see it drop. And I will continue on with all of the 16 needles. So now I'm going to hit next. The machine's not going to move, but this is actually a really good lined up view where you can see that drop of oil going down that needle bar in the upper section. We just did oiling down here. We did all 16 needles. Now we're going to do it up here. So that shot is kind of lined up over here, and it's, you can see if I line up kind of this way, so I'm at just a slight angle. Straight on is going to be a little bit more difficult, but if I line up just at that angle, you can see those needle bars and that shine, and that's what we're looking to do. So let's see if I can't get another camera lined up so that you can see what I'm doing it as I do it. So we'll go in, touch that metal, pull back, form a drop of oil, touch, have it drop. Same thing right here, you can really see the shine. Go in, touch, have that drop of oil just go down slowly. There you go. Do it again over here. There's one. See it drop, and you'll go ahead and do that through all the needles. As you start to oil the needle bars between needle bar 12 and needle bar 6, you want to avoid this printed circuit board. So again, I tend to go in above that, make sure that I'm touching that bar. Everything's in the way, there we go. I tend to go in, touch that bar, form a drop of oil, let it drop. So I'm not having a drop of oil as I'm going in past that circuit board. I'm actually going past that circuit board before I form the drop of oil so that I hit just the needle bar and then it drops past that. Once you're done oiling all 16, we're ready to press next. And now the carriage of the machine is going to go all the way back, and that's going to get kind of out of the way. We're going to be dealing with this lower arm now. So we'll be removing the needle plate, and for that you'll want some Allen wrenches, the ones that came in your operator's kit. And then we'll also be taking off the link cover, which is this long kind of silver piece on top of the red. Using a 2.5mm Allen wrench, loosen and remove the 2 hex head needle plate screws on either side of the bottom of the lower arm as shown in the image. Remove the needle plate from the machine, and then we'll press the next button. So let's get a zoomed in view so we can see what we're doing. We'll remove those screws. There's one. There's the other, and then the needle plate just lifts off and away. So let's click next. And now it's asking us to remove that link cover. To remove that link cover, I find it easiest just to lift from the front and lift it away. It's just held in place with magnets. Let's click next. So now we need to clean that area out with compressed air. So I'm going to come in, blow this area out. Let's click next. And we're going to replace that link cover. The link cover does have a notch. That notch goes towards the back. So I'm going to slide that into place and then just let that sit down, and it will be held back in place with those magnets. Click next. And now we are going to oil the trimmer. So we're going to oil that movable knife. So I'm going to be oiling this movable knife, and to do that I'm going to apply a drop of oil right at the top of that blade where those 2 metals meet, and it's going to seep down in. Let's press next. And now we need to move that knife back and forth 10 times, and to do that we're going to use that Allen wrench that we just used to remove the needle plate. We're going to do that. We're going to use that again, and we're going to move this blade back and forth about 10 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I'm going to end with it all the way back. It's very important that it goes all the way back. That way, when we put it back on, it can fit over this pin. Before reinstalling, I'm going to blow this out and then wipe it clean. And then again, make sure that this is all the way back before I reinstall it. Let's click next. So we're going to reinstall the needle plate, but we need to make sure that knife's all the way back. You can see that green arrow is saying push it all the way back, and then we'll screw it back in place. So this hole should fall right onto that pin. So I'm going to place this and let it drop into place. And then I'm going to reinstall the needle plate with those screws that I took out earlier. And when I do this, I'm going to go in almost all the way and back it off just enough to allow me to move this needle plate, because in a future step we're going to center the needle plate and I want to be able to shift it slightly back and forth. So that's what I'm looking for. Let's click next. As I do that, the machine's going to move the carriage forward. And now I need to press the E-stop. So I'm going to press this button, which will release the Z shaft so that I can rotate it manually. I'm going to be looking down underneath here. So I'm going to press the E-stop, and then I'm going to reach up inside and I'm going to rotate this Z shaft. Slowly lower the needle, very slowly. Right about here, if I start to feel resistance, like it's just not going to go, it's very possible that when I reinstalled my needle plate, my trimmer blade moved forward, so it's actually blocking the needle. If that's the case, rotate the needle back up, take the needle case off, push that trimmer back to home, and then reinstall the needle plate, and then lower this needle again, and we're going to go all the way down to where you start to feel that dwell, where it starts to just kind of linger for a little bit of a rotation. Click Next. Now we want to center the needle plate, and here's a good shot of what that centered needle plate looks like. So we're going to move this needle plate back and forth, left and right, and you can see how having this off could cause some thread issues. You'll notice that the needle is almost up to the side of that hole in that needle plate, which could cause thread breaks and whatnot. So I want to make sure that that's nice and centered, and then I'll go ahead and tighten those screws. So that's why I left them slightly loose on the previous step. I'll go ahead and tighten them up now. Click Next. So now we're going to release the E-stop, and as I do, the needle will come back up and go to a head-up position, just like that. Click Next. Now it's finished. When we click Finish button, the timer will reset. Now, if you had more maintenance that you wanted to accomplish today, you could go ahead and step through those next procedures, but if not, you could go ahead and click OK, get out of here, and start sewing.